Good to go?
All right.
So I'd like to call to order the October 1st regular meeting of the Troutdale Citizens Advisory Committee. Dakota, can we get a roll call?
Committee member Castillo-White.
Here.
Chair Casper.
Here.
Committee member Harrington.
Here.
Committee member Minkoff.
Here.
Committee member Long.
Here.
Committee member Rizzo.
Here.
Committee member Terrell. Committee member Barney.
Here.
Vice Chair Stephenson.
Here.
Committee member Knight.
Yes, present.
And committee member Sanchez.
Here.
Good. Those who are so inclined to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Will, do you want to lead us off?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. This time, agenda item 2, public comment on non-agenda items. If anyone has public comment, I'll take it at this time. There's nobody in the room. So is there anyone on Zoom that would like to offer up public comment? Hearing none. We'll close public comment and move on to agenda item 3, review and approval of September 3rd, 2025 minutes. These were sent out and attached to the packet. Does anyone have any comment or questions or alterations that need to be added to the minutes? Well,
I'd seen just a little typo there under discussion item A. City received a $100 grant. It has a comma, it's missing a zero. It's be $100,000.
Have to double check.
that's something you can verify and update.
Looks like it's a comment. I'm just in the last out, zero.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's missing another zero. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Missing a zero.
Okay. Any other comments, fixes on the meeting minutes? Not seeing any, either in the room or on Zoom. I will entertain a motion.
I motion, this Shelby Stephenson, I motion that to accept the September 3rd, 2025 minutes.
And I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay from Chris Barney. That carries. All right. Next item, update, First Friday tabling recap. Dakota.
Alrighty, pulling up a presentation I put together here. So it's just some of the data. I want to start off by giving a big thank you to both Tiffany and Diane for coming out and helping us out with the tabling. They did way more than I was expecting us to get as far as responses back. Going through all that data was pretty interesting, compiling all of it. Let's just dive into it a little bit here. Look at the numbers. The total number of participants, they got 56 people to respond to the questions that we had put together, which I think is more than what we were expecting. I think both of you going out there and hitting the ground hard was awesome. We got a wide range of responses, which we'll see going through this. Of the 56 people that we had respond, 37 were residents and 19 were either not residents or they didn't, care to say, which is pretty good. I mean, that gives us a good idea. And a lot of what we see in this first presentation will tie into our next presentation. So kind of some of these numbers, when you see what we have coming up next for our social media, this will show quite a bit of where we get that from. So next our first question was, where do you get your information? And I have a little asterisk here that numbers vary, because obviously you'll see more numbers on here than what the number of people, because some people gave multiple sources, which is great. I mean, the more sources, the better, right? So we have, let me see if I can actually do things on multiple computers. Minimize these. Okay, so social media, Facebook, Instagram, we had 25 people said that's where they get their primary information. The newspapers, either the Champion or the Outlook in Gresham, 19 people. The city website, 6 people. From a city employee, 3. Word of mouth from others, 10. And then there was just other category, which I put because there was just kind of word of mouth, like outside of the realm of what we have there. So here's a pie graph showing that our primary source of information, look at the wrong mouse. Our primary source of information is through social media and the newspapers. And then our next question is, what are the best times/days for you to attend a community meeting? Again, participants had multiple responses, so these numbers vary. Shocking, no one said in the morning. Evenings were the heavy favorite with 27 people mentioning that they would attend a meeting in the evening. Weekdays were next with 11. Weekends, 3. Never attend, 2. And then any time or day, 6 people. As you can see in reading deeper into some of the responses, a lot of it is, after 5 p.m., after 6 p.m., I have kids, which is typical, and which is also why we typically have meetings starting at 7. And then this next item, I decided to do a word map because we had a lot of different kinds of responses. And for those of you who don't know, a word map, the larger the word is, the more responses we received for that one. So what is a concern you have living in Troutdale? So you'll notice the biggest one on there is none. A lot of people think that Troutdale is a wonderful place to live because it is. However, there are some concerns. Parking, traffic, construction, and lack of business were some of the biggest comments we received back. You'll also notice in there's houselessness, crime, which is we only had 1 or 2 people mention crime, school districts, wanting to support those. The police and fire was a big topic. Lumped into police and fire is taxes, because that is kind of what's going, like how the city is thinking about funding the future partnership. Population growth kind of ties in with construction. A lot of people are wondering how we're going to do that, how our schools are going to handle that, and then more nightlife and diversity were 2 other ones we had a couple of responses, but not a major number on. So that's the information we received from First Friday, and I'm willing to discuss more if anybody has any questions or wants to dive in a little bit deeper. Again, big shout out to both Tiffany and Diane for helping us gather all this information because I was preoccupied with other things, so appreciate it. And they were sending people over to talk to me about my grant, which was great.
Any questions, comments?
This is Tiffany. One of the things that I heard about having a meeting that I thought was really interesting is they said, do it on a Tuesday or a Thursday, because they don't want to do anything on the weekend. And Wednesday is just a weird day. It's the middle of the week. And a lot of people are at church on a Wednesday or doing something like they already have a meeting on a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So I thought Tuesday, that was an interesting comment that I liked. And then one of the other parking comments, the guy was pretty passionate, was somebody who lived right up the hill on, what's the next? It's the Main Street and then is it first or second? It's the one that dead ends. He has nowhere to park when he comes home because everybody parks up there. And he was like, it would be really nice if there was a spot for people who live on that street that they hold for those people. I mean, it's public, but I was like, oh, I never thought about the people who actually, I mean, I live on 4th, so people come up the hill, but they don't usually make it all the way north. They all park on 1st, and so for the people that live in the townhouses that have more than, like, they just don't, they've got a couple of cars, they don't have anywhere to park, which kind of sucks, but parking, that's always gonna be an issue.
Very curious about the nightlife. What was that?
They just, the comment was they were surprised that the streets kind of, everything closes down a little bit early, and they were wishing there was a little bit more nightlife in downtown. Things would stay open a little bit later. Along with nightlife, you'll see in there is lack of business, and that also came with, restaurants closing earlier, or not enough restaurants, too much open commercial space. So that's kind of that lack of business kind of encompasses that, and then the nightlife was wishing that things would stay open a little bit later.
One thing that I have heard from people visiting downtown Troutdale is that we have a nice picturesque downtown, but for visitors coming in, there isn't that much to do. I mean, we have a lot of services, and there's things where people can come in and get flowers or get coffee or go to their yoga studio appointment or whatever. But for visitors, for tourists and such, there's a relatively limited number of storefronts in the downtown where they can come and shop or look or whatever, particularly for repeated visits. So that is something that I've heard on multiple occasions from people and usually from residents who have family coming in to visit. And it's like, okay, well, we've seen downtown Troutdale once, don't need to go back. Unless we're hungry.
Would you guys be able to explain a little bit more about the population growth answer and maybe kind of tease out some details on that?
Yeah, from what I saw from the responses, there's a couple people wondering with the new construction, a concern was population growth. One, with how is it going to affect our schools? And quote, where are we going to put everyone? And two is with the population growth, a lot of the responses that kind of fall into that category were they wanted to grow small and smart, and then also they don't want to grow too fast. So they want the construction that is spurred for population growth to be in a smart fashion to fit with the dynamic of Troutdale with what we currently have going on. So along those lines is kind of what population growth kind of encompasses. That's why I figured that was the best one, is population growth is just growing too fast. It's funny, one of the comments was, I see what concern do you have? None. I'm just glad we're not Portland. Don't let it grow as fast as Portland. And so that kind of was kind of a both, they don't have anything, but at the same time, they're a little concerned about population growth. Most people, I feel like, and of course, Diane and Tiffany, they're the ones speaking to the citizens. I think most people understand that we're going to grow. It's just nature of every city is going to grow. That's a sign of a good city. If you're losing population, there's usually issues. But they just want it to be done in a smart fashion. Well thought out.
I think the 3 questions worked well. I got that when they saw it was only 3, then they were more inclined to do it, even though they had a lot to say and they were just reserved, but that just 3 little questions, but then that opened up a conversation. So, and just if a lot of things look like my writing, I was doing it verbatim. So it's not Diane on the side filling out more stuff, but yeah, but it definitely was fun. And I didn't get that, so I didn't get that we were supposed to entertain either till the end. like whether they lived in Troutdale or not. So I was saying, hi, are you from Troutdale? And I go, well, da-da-da, and then if they weren't, I go, well, welcome to Troutdale, and then they walked on, I let them walk on their way. So the only people I took, I got data from were Troutdale residents.
Which is totally fair. We didn't, we didn't have anything. It was more or less, oh, do you? Because some people, they don't live here. They're like, why? We don't really want to necessarily talk to you in a sense of like, yeah, we'll chat with you about what like Troutdale, but we don't necessarily want to take like a quick survey because they don't live here, so they don't think that it pertains to them. Even though all these things that we're finding out as far as this committee is what we're looking at. We're gonna look at this data. How can we reach more people to bring more people into Troutdale is the sense of our events and to spur the economy. So that's totally fine that you didn't, and I think that's great. We were really trying to see how the people in Troutdale receive our information and things of that nature. But it's good to also see, oh, what do people think that are visiting from outside? So I think it's good that we got all of them for both.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because I could have like put notes, because they go, I'm really excited, I love this place, I'm visiting so-and-so. So there might have been a little extra commentary data if there was another subcategory that, if they didn't write, but then we could have written on the side of what, what are visitors liking? Do you know what I mean? Or something else on the side. Or if this is their first time and they're pleased, or just, just a couple of word thoughts.
Anyone? Oh, Rebecca?
I'd like to hear more about the one or couple people who mentioned diversity. What did they mean when they said that?
One of them's an artist from Troutdale who's a Latino. I think he's from Mexico, and he was saying like, oh, the coffee shop left and they were Hispanic, and I go, yeah, it was a really kind of bad traffic spot, So and I know him, I just wanted more color in the community, but it was more lighthearted too at the same time. So it wasn't really to me, I know him well, it wasn't a major concern, but I was talking to everybody, I was trying to
It was a funny
engage.
comment. You could tell it was lighthearted.
And I also went to the margarita line, just so y'all know too. They're all standing there waiting for their $4 margarita, and I go, oh, I could just walk down the line and say, are you from Troutdale? Are you from Troutdale? And there was a Latina that she was from Troutdale too, and her husband happens to work for Troutdale. She goes, can I? I go, of course you can participate in this. You live here. Yeah, I mean, yes, I'd love to hear. Yeah.
We're here, I'm Latina, we're
Yeah,
here,
I know.
we're just not as visible, I think,
Yeah.
all the time, so that's great.
Any comments online? Kevin's shaking his head.
Again, great work.
Yeah, my other curiosity point particularly on the concerns about construction is that if we were to repeat this process in 6 months, once that is finished, which theoretically it will be, particularly the construction traffic dissipates in the town center area, if that will sort of filter out of people's frontal consciousness, because I know for a lot of residents, and particularly a lot of business owners, the daytime parking issues caused by the small army of contractors and subcontractors for the Home Forward project are a serious concern. But that is winding down. They're nearing completion, so then it'll just be the increased traffic from new residents as they roll in.
And yeah, I feel like it's a mixture of definitely that, because that's like the bit right in front, everybody's seeing it, it's affecting, but also all the construction that's been going on 257th and Halsey. And, which, yeah, I mean, they've been shutting down a lane. The thing is about that is like, usually that's a one and done type thing. So I'm curious to see if that filters out, by next year where it's not as prevalent, because they'll be wrapping that up and then shouldn't have to be shutting down a lane and repaving and fixing the roads and things of that nature, because that's a large project that is done during the summer when they can do it, which just happens to also be the busiest time, especially for us in Troutdale. So it's just, more people see it, it's more on the front of everybody's mind, especially with school kicking in with the lane closure. We had a lot of calls on that. That's a county project, we understand, they're working as fast as they can. That's why they started at the school area and tried to move their way out to try to minimize some of that traffic. But that is gonna be interesting to see if we, do this again next summer type thing, and continue to see if, how we're doing. This is a good metric we can kind of look at with our outreach and, how people are, what they think of what we're doing as a committee and as a city, to see if that's still a topic on everybody's mind.
Although I will say, just as sort of a brief segue, I am extremely thankful that the contractors that the county got for doing the grading and the asphalt work on 257th are producing an infinitely better final product than the ones that did Buxton.
It is smooth.
Rachel, or Rebecca, sorry.
Okay, everyone said. I'm also wondering, back at the first question, when you were both asking people about best times to attend a meeting, was anyone asking like, well, in our meetings, what do you do at meetings? Was anyone more curious and or did you seem like they'd be interested in attending, or?
I was stating it, if we were to do a town hall, I would tell people there's a lot of big changes coming in Troutdale's future. So I was talking about that. I don't think people know about these meetings.
It's not regular, but they would be interested in a big
Yeah.
town hall to get
I don't think they really know these meetings exist. I don't know that, I think a lot of people don't understand that there's public comment at these meetings, that they can have their voices heard. And that's one of the reasons I joined this group, is how do we get that word out? One thing that I've done in this past month, other than just talking to people, which was really cool to talk to that many people. The board that they put up at Sunrise, on the back of the newspaper, it has a calendar of events for the couple of months that the newspaper is. And so I cut that out of the back of the newspaper, and that we just posted it at Sunrise, because it also has phone numbers for everybody. Because if there's something happening at the park that you're uncomfortable with, a lot of people that we've talked to, they don't know who to call. We had an incident with a dog that was just running loose, and there was a man with a tent trailer and a car that was sleeping in the park, and he was letting this dog and nobody knew who to call. So that also has everybody's phone numbers in the back of the paper. It has people's names, it has departments, it has phone numbers, it has the date of events. So since September was almost over when we posted it, I just cut off October and then all the numbers. And so it's there and they can see it. So it also has the meeting times, because it's got all of our meetings. And I would love to do that with every single calendar we have. It would be really cool to have a QR code that takes people straight to the website where they could go join a Zoom meeting or something like that. So that you get the paper, but it gets lost in a pile of things, or you recycle it. And so then you don't have that information at the ready. And so somebody can walk by every day and they can see that. I would like to start putting more information in places like that, so that it's up all the time so people can see it.
I was just providing information, so I was letting them know about all the opportunities that there were, depending on how much they were engaged or had a concern, or just kept talking, and they had a lot to say about Troutdale and they cared about Troutdale, so that I would let them know about the committees. But it reminded me of with our last meeting is a good way to talk to people too, is in our Troutdale Facebook is, did you know? And it's okay, it's whatever it is, we have all these meetings during the week and you can go to this site and whatever. Or did you know that you could do public comment at any city council meeting, it's the first agenda item, or do you know what I mean? So just kind of fun little tidbits to just throw things that we we consider common, but things that people just may not know. Yeah.
Anyone else? All right. Good feedback, good comments, good engagement. I think that was definitely an exercise that we can, at future events downtown, we can repeat.
Real quick, Tiffany, I would love to have an incentive. I don't know if, like, what the word is on that, but it's like, how do we get people to engage? How do we get more people to be involved, is to have an incentive. And yeah, a fish pen, a sticker, that's nice, but like a raffle or a drawing is gonna draw more people to answer those questions and give us their opinions. It would be great if we were gonna do something in the future, if we could do some sort of raffle. I don't know what the status of that is, but.
Real quick, the fish pen worked. I had them in my pocket. And I pull one out and they go, ooh, and then, so it was just fun. It was just fun engagement, and then got a way to get in the door of gathering information, so.
My in was talking about, like, if I saw somebody with a dog, that's always an in for me, because I always talk up the dog park. And then if they had little kids, that's another in for me, because I think that the program that Parks and Rec runs, Little Trout Play Park, that happens during the winter time, and it happens in the springtime too, is such an awesome program for moms that have little babies. And so I would, if I see a family with a kid in that age range, I started by telling them about that program. Do you live here? Do you know that this exists? And then I would ask if I could ask them questions. So those were two ways for me to ask people questions that I was able to grab. And then candy, there was candy at the table though. Does your kid want candy?
More kids than adults come through.
All righty. Well, thank you again to Tiffany and Diane for your efforts on that, and also to Dakota. And with that, I think we can proceed to the next part of it. Item 5, presentation on the current city media outreach.
Okay. So this is basically a follow-up. I asked Marley and Kevin to pull together some of the information we have regarding our social media and seeing, because what I asked is just, how many people are looking at our social media across social media and webpage. What are they looking at? How many people do we have that followers? Things of that nature. So this is a presentation. This is some data that Kevin had sent over to me, and I put into a presentation for us as he put together over the last couple of weeks.
Which Kevin?
Kevin Mooney.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think it's Mooney. Yeah. He and Marley share the same. Okay, so we're going to start with Facebook. So we have current followers is 8,996 followers. The demographics of our followers are on the chart to the right. So you can see 18 to 24 is relatively low. 25 to 34 starts to bump up. Our main range is 35 to 44. And then it slowly tapers down with primarily more women than men looking at the Facebook page. Growth trends. Major growth spike in January of 2024 during the winter storms. In 2025, there was a purge. So Facebook deleted millions of bot accounts, which may have impacted follower accounts and engagement across the platform. So that's just something to kind of be aware of as we're looking at these numbers. That's why all the numbers we have in here are primarily from 2024, because we have to get them at the end of the year. And when I talked to Kevin about putting this together for us, he's always, I was on the phone with Marley because she was wanting to know exactly what we were looking for. And I can hear him complaining about the platforms in the back because they constantly change how to gather the data. So Brad, when he knows it, they change it all up again. So he was complaining, and he said he was going on his rant about social media platforms and how they change their back end all the time. This is just an interesting little tidbit of our Facebook followers and where they're located. So you can see just people who are, sorry, followers, but people who look at the Facebook page. So City of Gresham, 16,000. City of Wood Village, 1,000. City of Fairview, 857. City of Beaverton, 11,000, sorry. City of Milwaukee, 6.9 thousand. City of Sandy, 11,000. And City of Happy Valley, 11,000. So that's how many hits we get from those locations on our webpage throughout the year, or on our Facebook throughout the year. Which I thought is not followers, but engagement, yeah. I think followers would have been changed there, which is pretty interesting. To go all the way over to Beaverton and Happy Valley is, you'd expect kind of the close ones, but for having, Milwaukee, Happy Valley, Sandy, and Beaverton is pretty interesting. Also the fact that they're significantly more than some of the smaller ones, even though they're right next door. Granted, they have a larger population, but still an interesting tidbit. Okay, so here's our key post performance. So this is through the January of 2024. You can see kind of the reactions, comments, and shares based on post. Sharing a county post, we have 125 reactions, 23 comments, 70 shares. Buxton Road closure, you have slightly more. Road condition update, significantly more. Troutdale Road power line down. So these are more just regular daily updates that we post, especially during January with the winter storms. This is why we received quite a few more followers, because we were updating constantly through the storm. Troutdale Road closure, that was a significant one. Abandoned Amazon semi-truck had quite a few shares, which I thought was interesting for an abandoned truck. PGE restoring power, and then Public Works, thank you. It's kind of interesting to see how they're shared around and then just initial reaction. And the comments are always an interesting thing to read if you ever are on there.
Suppose if I were to make a quick comment about that, I'm assuming that was all during the winter storm, 17, 18, 19. Mm-hmm. So then probably 90% of people are home and off of work for the day and playing on their phone and checking out the Facebook page. I wonder if there would be, a similar analog to not a stay-at-home weekend or stay-at-home days where people aren't just singularly focused online. To see if there's a similar numbers and reactions, comments, shares, etc.
I think that might be something. Here we go. So monthly reach and engagement. So this is both views and interactions. So you can see the views, they are typically more during the summer than they are during the winter. Significantly more in June and July. And then interactions, these are people either sharing, commenting, different posts. Again, they're significantly more in June and July, with a couple more in September. So these are kind of those summer months in comparison to that heavy month in January. And that is for this year of 2025.
It'd be interesting to know why it fluctuates so. And
I think primarily it's for the events.
I wonder if it has anything to do with number of posts per week, per month, during a certain period. Because it's interesting that all of them are pretty high, but August all of a sudden drops off to a quarter of some of those months.
I was just wondering, like, on this slide, how come we don't have numbers for January through April?
This is just for that kind of the summer event sort of month, to see how much we're getting, how many times the page is getting hit, how many times people are sharing, and also during these months, people are home. Again, it's summertime, so they have their kids, so they're looking to see what kind of events are going on for their children. First Friday events, I think we post about the art walks, the car show, farmers markets, things like that, the events that go on during the summer rather than during the winter. We don't have as many. It's usually, we have the event at the dog park for Halloween, I think it's Halloween in the park.
Halloween.
Halloween, that's what it is, yeah. And then Windy Wonderland, Windy Wonderland, geez, Windy Wonderland. So those are the primary ones we have during the winter, where during the summer we have significantly more events. So that's why I just wanted to see like, okay, when we have more events, there's more things posted, what does it look like? So that's why we did this kind of section as a breakdown. Because the other slide was more just strictly about, this is a big event, and let's see how, we can see how it was shared. There's a lot of updates, but it's different where we get a big impact because we're constantly updating the public compared to during the summer. These are updates, but they're not as like ready updates. Like, hey, this is coming up, rather than, hey, there's a power line down due to the storm, or trees are down, don't go here. And then people are constantly looking to see an update. Okay, has it been cleared, has it been fixed, things of that nature. Okay, we'll move on now. Instagram. Our Instagram has 2,200 followers. September views were a little over 14,000. Interactions, a little over 250. And so the breakdown here is that's 74.3% of posts and 25.5% of stories that were either shared or viewed. So you can see more posts are viewed and shared than there are stories, which I would say is pretty typical.
Guess I'm just being OCD, but there's a typo.
Oh, I bet you there is.
It has an
The
and.
25 point.
Oh, that's supposed to be a percent.
Yeah, and percent.
25.5 and. Must have meant that extra 7% or something. 2%.
It is missing 0.2 out of being a whole 100.
It is. I'm not sure if that's just waste. These are just numbers I pulled from, the typo is definitely mine though. That's not a Kevin thing, I can't blame that on him.
Can I ask who is in charge of the social media? Is it the same person? Is it a group of people for both the?
Yep, it's one person, it's Kevin who runs all of our social media.
Okay.
And he posts things to our website as well. So he kind of does all of the digital marketing stuff.
Okay, because as I'm wondering, if we want more engagement with the posts, I'm kind of looking, and there's like a few things that can be done. My husband and I run we're business owners, and we run a DIY independent record label, and we do a lot of engagement through social media. And some of the ways that's helped us increase that is doing a lot of like questions, like don't just post a picture, but ask a question and get engagement in the comments. You need to also outthink the algorithm, and you need to add, hashtags, link, attach, tag people, tags other cities nearby, Fairview, Woodville, things like, Wood Village, things like that. So I'm wondering if he has had any opportunity to kind of learn more about like manipulating the algorithm or how to like increase engagement.
I'm not entirely, I can't answer that. I am not sure. I know this is his job, but I think it's only a portion of his job.
It takes a lot of time.
So it takes a little more time. I know kind of the running thing that we'd always love to have is, can we get someone younger, like an intern in here, and have him do this, take some stuff off his plate. We just don't have the
I think there's
funds and things to do that, but.
I'm wondering, with Multnomah County, I used to work for Multnomah County, and they have the College to County internship program, and it's primarily focused on high school and college age youth of color. But they take internships throughout Multnomah County, and they also have internship opportunities with the Sheriff Department. So I'm wondering, I know we're the city of Troutdale, and I know what the conflicts would be, but I'm wondering if we can't, as a city, start our own internship project, how we can partner with the Multnomah County as an already established partnership and something like that, and get someone to come in and help us enhance our social media.
There's been some discussions just about interns in general. Obviously, we don't have any. We haven't had any in quite some time. And it's just, there's kind of a couple reasons for that from what I understand. Who knows what's going to happen with the new city manager? Maybe he'll want to start a bigger program. But in the past, it's just been not necessarily enough work to have an intern, depending on where they're at. Obviously, like our parks department, we have summer parks members that come in and they work for the summer, they're part-time, and then they're done, they're seasonal. So we have seasonals kind of around, same with our greeters at the community center or at the visitor center. But as far as like for my job, you know, we have a lot of stuff that we're doing, and I would love to have an intern to do some of the stuff that I don't want to do on a daily basis. But the cost benefit is like, oh, well, it doesn't pan out for us, but it doesn't mean it doesn't pan out everywhere. So I know that's kind of something that I believe, if I remember hearing correctly, that's just a topic that was always kind of passed around and see, because whether it's an unpaid internship, there's other programs like you were mentioning. Also, there's the RARE program through University of Oregon. That's where the other planner, Nick, that's where he was at, where they they station you in a smaller city or a city of need. When I was interning for the city of Scappoose, there was also a RARE participant there. So there's a program that does that, and you work, the school pays for it. You're technically not a student, but you are working through a program. So we've talked about that. Our director was a RARE participant as well. So that we have had those discussions. It's just a matter of, okay, do we have enough to meet the requirements for said internship programs? So I think that's kind of figure out. And I know in the next several months, next couple of years, we have a lot of long-range planning work that we're going to be doing, especially in our department, that I would love to have an intern on board with, especially just having someone else to do some of the grant stuff that we're doing is great. It's just a matter of funding, and if we can get a program kind of set up, or if we want to join, just hasn't been a number one kind of priority type thing. But I know it's been a topic that's been passed around a little bit, tossed around. Moving on. So this is for our website, the city website. So this has a breakdown from September through January through 2025, or I should say January through September. You can see this, how many times our page gets viewed. Typically, you'll see more during the summer than the winter. That's because we do a lot more as far as our job in planning and community development. That's where most of the work gets done. So a lot of people go there for the permits through the permit portal. That's all done on our website. So you'll see more hits at that time. A lot of people are calling, whether they're doing fences, chicken permits, things of that nature, than you do during the winter. The winter is more for updates based on weather, closures, street closures, things like that. There is a historical note that in January 2024, winter storms and social media growth, the page was added 22,000 page views during the winter storms. And then here's traffic source and posting frequency. So this is traffic source is how the web page was found. So you'll see it was searched for 66% of the time, direct, just going directly to the web page, 20% of the time, social media 6%, and other referral 5%. I am curious, they can't tell you exactly like the number of who is the one hitting it, because I go to our web page all the time. So I'm wondering if, myself and Nick and Erica skew these numbers, because we are constantly going there showing people how to get to certain pages. Same with our building department. So I'm curious, I don't know if that does skew, if it's internal or not, if that'll affect it, if it's strictly external. We can't get those types of numbers. And then posting frequency in a typical week. Facebook posts 5 to 8 posts a week. Instagram posts 2 to 4 posts a week. And then on Nextdoor 2 to 4 posts a week in a typical week. You can see Facebook, because we have more viewers there, that is our primary source to reach the community rather than Instagram.
It's interesting because there's a way you can duplicate your Facebook posts so you don't have to post them twice. Mm-hmm. So you just paste once and it will bring it over to Facebook and you don't have to do anything. I would think they'd be the exact same number.
Mm-hmm. It all depends on how you have that meta suite set up.
It might be Facebook specific, like if you're doing a Facebook invite, you wouldn't be able to replicate that on Instagram.
Invites and events and such wouldn't translate over to Instagram.
that's the end of that presentation. Any questions, thoughts regarding our social media?
Chris?
I'm curious, what's next door?
Next door is is it through Facebook or is it, no, it's just, it's a separate, right? It's a separate kind of platform that same thing, you download and you post things on it. It's typically to kind of figure out what's going on in your community. So you'll see they have them, and sometimes they're really small and sometimes they're much larger for like full cities. So sometimes they're neighborhood specific and sometimes they're much larger, so. I know I have one in my neighborhood, if something's going on, there's a coyote running around, someone posts a coyote going down. It's like, okay, bring your cat or your dog inside type thing, so.
That's what I call it, coyote talk.
Most of the time, that's a lot of what's on there is coyote.
So I do think this is kind of interesting, and I guess I was kind of wondering whether it might be worth it to revisit this in January when we'll have numbers for the rest of the year.
Is Marley gonna be doing her regular post-season presentation to city council?
I'm not sure, I know she typically does, but I haven't heard from her I don't know what her schedule's like or when she would be going. But I know usually she does, she puts all that information together through, I can't remember that platform that we use that pings the cell phones. So usually she puts something together, but I don't know when she's planning on doing that for city council, but she usually does that.
It'd be interesting to see that here as well, I mean, at least for the people who don't religiously watch city council meetings.
Yeah, if she puts it together, I'd be happy to ask her to come or send it over to me and I can give the presentation as well.
In my postseason.
Historically, at least by my recollection, Marley has a presentation to council at the end of the summer event season that basically has the sort of demographic and economic results of all of the various downtown summer events.
Shows like how far people are coming from outside the city, how many people are coming from inside the city, things like that.
Yes, just a question regarding the metrics. These are wonderful. Do they have internal metrics that they're like stretch goal, or is it just kind of monitoring the numbers?
Sure, I haven't asked, I have to ask him. I just purely not talking to him. I think it's more monitoring and seeing, because I think the stretch metrics are more what Adrian had just mentioned regarding the one that Marley does to see like our outreach. But I think this is more just monitoring and seeing. I mean, I think the one for who looks at our, let's see if I can pull it back up here. The one that looks at the cities surrounding, I think that's kind of an interesting stretch metric, but I'm not sure if, that's just hits, obviously. I don't know if there's a goals to try to continue to spread that. And this also doesn't account for any of the stuff that Marley does regarding, Gateway to the Gorge and tourism type things. This is strictly just our social media stuff. So it's not as much like outreach in that regard. This is just our social media aspects of who comes to our websites, what are they looking at, how many times they're sharing, things like that.
I will have to say, I love the pictures on Facebook. Kevin and Marley do a really good job of just showing nature and all the images that they capture. They're just, and maybe that's why they're looking. Maybe they're from other cities going, how do we do this and do it interesting and engaging, and but I do enjoy the photos. I'm always amazed. The drone shots they get and the seasonal and it's just really fun.
They do great work. I believe they're both, I know Marley is, I believe they're both photographers in their spare time. So it's great to have them to help us get some really great shots around the city. And I think I think it was last year that Kevin got of is it smelt? run. When they were running, he brought his camera out there and stuck it in the water, and you can see them all running. I thought that was an awesome shot, and he posted that one last year during the run, so. He's like, dude, they were running, so he wanted to go out there and take a look. He's like, oh, this would be a cool shot. Yeah, wonderful.
Anyone else? Comments? All right. Thank you, Dakota, for all of that information, and pass along our thanks to Kevin and Marley and everybody that contributed to it. And we look forward to seeing those, seeing updated numbers periodically. And then just as further discussion points to have on our docket, or even just within the city, things like the internship discussions that we're having, because we do know that that staff are busy, and a lot of times they have a lot. They have so much on their plate that that the expansion of the outreach isn't necessarily something that they can focus on, and the nuances of Facebook, it may not be something, the nuances that they can focus on. But if we could get could get some focused interns or something, maybe we can make some progress in that direction. Does require funds, we know that. I mean, all this stuff requires money. That is for the city in increasingly short supply for reasons. But yeah, we look forward to more. So if there is nothing else on this, I think we can move on to staff communications.
Alrighty. So it's been a busy couple weeks for us. Last week I sent out the decisions for 2 different type 1 applications. One was a modification. One was actually 3. So one was a modification, one was a site development review, and one was a lot line adjustment. So a couple small projects that were getting wrapped up. Most of what I've been doing has either been with our grant work lately, outside of those case files, or we've been having a lot of discussions, just people calling, interested about different properties with having different questions. So that's been kind of what our phone's kind of been bringing off the hook a little bit. And that's kind of the time of year for planning, is development kind of slows down as we get into the winter time. We have a lot more pre-application meetings and a lot more discussions with folks, and then we get more applications in the spring for development to start during the summer. So that's what we've been doing. Next week, we have Planning Commission. I'll be there again for the grant with our consultant, MIG, giving an update on what the information we received at First Friday, as well as where we're currently at with our proposed code amendment. It's going to be a kind of an update and work session with Planning Commission regarding our proposed amendments, because after that meeting is when we want to kind of start writing draft amendments and then bring those back to Planning Commission, and I'll bring them to CAC once we have a little bit more of a draft to kind of just get an idea of what we're looking at there. Also at Planning Commission next week, we'll be discussing, kind of doing a kickoff, if you will, for our middle housing. There's been a couple of House bills and Senate bills that have been passed in the state that have not yet been added to our development code. So that's going to be a kickoff. It's going to be a long discussion with Planning Commission, creating some new standards. It's a bit confusing, as we were talking about earlier before the meeting. It can get really twisted and turned around. This actually kind of came up through 2 different projects that were asking us questions, and we realized we haven't entered them into our code, and that is a state requirement. So we need to enter not only House Bill 458, but also House Bill 2138, Senate Bill 458, House Bill 2138, that was just passed in July, that amends 458. So we need to, it's going to be a lot of work between staff and Planning Commission coming up. Other than that, as you mentioned, Home Forward should be wrapping up. They're still on pace to wrap up in January. They should be done in January. They're still targeting that date. And then we had I can't remember the actual name of it, a bike ride with, for policymakers that was along the 40-mile loop trail up in the north that came through our new park. That was very successful. The park is still planning to be opened in the next couple of weeks. There's a couple of hiccups there, but we're still trudging right along to have the park be open in the next couple of weeks. And then Halloween is going to be going on Halloween in the dog park at the end of the month. Those are the first things that are coming to mind at the moment.
What was the date, and I was just glancing through my, what was the date of the ribbon cutting for the Sharon Nesbitt?
I believe it was the 29th, or is that's a different, might be the
That
different
sounds
part.
right.
No, I think, yeah.
I think it was the 29th. I can pull it up, I have it right here.
October 29th,
Yep, 29th.
1:30.
1:30.
With an RSVP.
Yep. So that'll be coming up at the end of the month.
Shelby?
Shelby, so when you were talking about those code amendments and stuff that has to happen, is that dealing with policy stuff or the urban forest management or both?
All of the above, so, and different. So Main Streets on Halsey, that is the grant that I've been working on. So we're going back to Planning Commission next week for a work session and kind of an update on where we're currently at after our community engagement. So that's one code amendment that we're working on, hoping to have that one wrapped up by January. The urban forestry master plan, that's not going to be wrapped up for quite a while. That's going to be worked on, I believe, for another almost a year, just under a year. So, but they're not going to Planning Commission, but that's currently underway. And then Erica's also working on a couple other grants that she's looking to apply for right now. So she's got quite a bit going on. She was actually just reached out to by, I believe it was Sandy, because they saw that we submitted for the urban forestry, it got it, and they want to do the same. So they wanted to speak with Erica, how she did it, how she wrote it, which is great. Because that's something, I mean, city government, don't reinvent the wheel. You know, if someone did it well, talk to them because it's all public information anyway, and see how you can make it your own. So that's great because they called us instead of us calling someone else, which is always a big thing. And I know that's a big pat on the back for Erica because that was a long grant to write. Then the other code amendments that will be kicking off next week at Planning Commission is more of informational, just letting you know this is coming down the way because it's going to be a lot of work with work sessions with Planning Commission. That's for middle housing. And so without getting too in the weeds, middle housing was something that was passed in House Bill 2021 and 2022. And there's been several amendments to the House bills over the years. That is how we now have cottage clusters, zero lot lines, things like that. So it's for infill, but the primary use is for ownership and density. So instead of having, for example, a duplex where it's one owner, 2 units, now you can go through middle housing land division, divide that into 2 units where one is owned by two different owners can own a side. So it's increasing ownership capabilities throughout the state. So that's going to be another one, and that will probably take upwards of a year. I'm not sure if we're going to have to get a consultant on board for that one. I don't think so, but it's going to be a lot of work with Planning Commission to write the information we need.
Any other questions for staff? All right, I think we can go to committee comments. We'll start online. Kevin?
Just to thank you to staff, as usual, their hard work is more than just a paycheck worth. So much appreciated. Thank you.
Rebecca?
Just want to say thank you to you three for being out there in the trenches and talking to the people. I think that was incredible, and I hope we don't have to wait until next summer to engage and do another question or to engage with the people, so I hope we can do that again sooner. Thank you.
Dan?
Hey, thanks to staff as well, and also, I did like the engagement component that Rebecca was speaking to that I kind of brought up too, is like, did you know? So I like the thing about, I was envisioning it in short snippet videos though too, so it could be even like a tutorial. Do you know how to watch a city council meeting rerun? Do you know, or whatever it might be, but just somehow to get them to engage with the committees and council and gather other information into hopefully future participation as a volunteer in whatever aspect. Thank you.
Shelby?
Oh, thanks, great meeting.
Happy Halloween early.
Chris?
I guess, thanks for another great meeting and happy to be back too. I guess I'll look forward to seeing you all in November.
Victoria?
If my voice holds out here. There's a Troutdale Community Walk tomorrow on the Tuk Tuk Trail at 10 a.m. If you want to go. They're meeting at Starbucks. And they're taking a walk. As for Town Center, nothing to report. They're still working on it. Hopefully we'll have a meeting this month. And as for the police and fire, it looks like we're probably gonna contract with Gresham for another few years. And hopefully the 4 cities are gonna put it on the ballot to create our own fire district. So then that'll be taken out of, what it's called. The budget's the main.
General fund.
General fund, yeah.
And then hopefully we'll have some money for starting our own police force too. But this is gonna take a few years, and we're gonna have to get a lot of people on board, and it's gonna increase taxes. But if we, if we continue with doing the contracts, we're not gonna have much left in the budget after a few years. Because the contracts just keep going up. So, I'm having lots more meetings this month on it, so I'll know more next month. And hopefully know more about Town Center.
Thank you, Victoria. Will?
Let's see, I think, I wanted to say that it was really neat that Marley got the Ark on the Road TV morning news thing to happen. I thought that was really neat. You can listen to it on 1 1/4 speed on YouTube, buzz through it in less than an hour or whatever it takes. But I thought it was really interesting with some really interesting interviews and hearing from people in the community that I really personally haven't heard from much in the past. I thought it was really interesting. But yeah, again, thank you to her for those sorts of opportunities that she's doing for us here in Troutdale. As well as thank you to both them for this report. And again, thanks to you for collating it, putting it in a neat presentation. And again, thank you to Diane and Tiffany for your guys' work down there this Friday. So thank you.
Tiffany?
I have a question. This says Citizen Advisory Board. It's supposed to be committee, right? That was a misprint on our agenda.
Yeah,
So
I don't know.
it says board or committee, wanted to mention that. And then last time I was here, I said that I was excited to be with you guys for the next, what is it, term's 3 years? Is that what it is? But I got Frank's spot, so I will have to reapply if I want to stay in this group in June. Because that's when his term ended and I got his term. So I plan to reapply and I hope you guys will let me do that. Because I'm enjoying being a part of this group. So I have to amend that. I'm gonna enjoy the next few months and hopefully enjoy being on it after that too. We'll see. I had a really good time on First Friday. I enjoyed talking to people. It's easy for me to talk to people. I like talking. So I would love to see us do that again next summer, and I would love to see more involvement from the group, because if her and I got 50 people to talk, then imagine how many more responses we could get if there was more of us doing it. And it might be a little bit awkward, but it's really interesting to hear the community's perspective when you ask certain questions. And the 3-question thing was also, I think that was helpful, just to have 3 questions. I am interested to know more about the going forward with bulletin boards in town. I mentioned this earlier, like how big are they gonna be and where are they gonna go and what's a time frame for that? Because I think that's another way to engage the community. To add on to what Victoria was saying, I watched the city council meeting and I guess isn't there supposed to be a special task force that has to do with the police and the fire specifically, where it involves the mayors from the 4 cities, the fire chief from Gresham, and a city council member. I guess those meetings are supposed to be public. I don't know where to go to watch them.
I'm not sure.
But like it's a new task force that they're putting together, and it was on the city council. Did you see that one?
It's just getting put together, so
Just
it
getting put
has,
together. So it's something to look forward to.
yes.
Watching and finding out where we can watch it, because it's supposed to be public. That was a question I actually asked, was are they gonna be public? And I assume they will be, so hopefully we can look into those and just have more information to share with our community. I think that's all I had to say. Another thing, on the website, I'm still listed as an alternate, so I'd love to see that switched on there.
Definitely.
And that was all I had. Thank you so much for all you guys are doing.
Paula?
Yeah, thank you, Dakota, for the presentations and good conversation this evening. Just to add on to Victoria's comments, one of the things I thought that was really interesting from our last group where we came together and talked about fire and police was Praxis, who is a consultant group they are working with, did just kind of one survey where they were just at this point in time, if we put this out to the voters, where would everybody land on the question? And it was, I don't have the numbers like exactly, but it was like 30-something% yes, 30% something no, and the rest undecided. And so it just, no matter where we fall, I think we have a lot of education in the future to help people understand what that means. So I think a lot of that work will be consultants, but I think all the other committees we participate in also, it'll be good for us to have that information and be able to talk to our neighbors about it. And that's all I got.
All right, well, thank you, everybody, for coming and participating, and good meeting as always. Thank you to staff for all of your diligent efforts. A couple other things I wanted to mention is, and as you guys have heard me say repeatedly, board games are kind of my thing. This weekend, October 4th, this is more of a citywide event, but at the Holiday Inn Riverfront on Hayden Island, there is a 12-hour game day that is free and open to the public. And then the following weekend, the following Saturday, October 11th, is the next iteration of the Troutdale Parks and Rec game day next door. That runs from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Come and play games. And we'd be happy to have you. So with that, I will entertain a motion.
It's Victoria. I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Shelby Stephenson, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Good night, everybody.